Righto, so it's time for us, the brains trust of the show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. You stuck into me the other day for calling it a podcast, didn't you, Gannon? Far out.
It's
a
whatever
show, mate. Want it to be. It's a show.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Whatever you want it to be. That's right.
You run it, Louis. You call what you want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's the road to the championships this time, and we're going to take a look at two of the feature races through the Championships Carnival in Sydney, and we're going to start with the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. Let's take a look at this all in market thanks to Tab. Anamo's the 350 favourite off absolutely belting them last Saturday. Very elegant, 450. Got turned over by Montefilia, who's an $11 chance. Zaki's also with VE at 450. Duace 11s. Montefilia, we mentioned, Think It Over 11. Then we've got Converge, Hatotsu at 15s. Cascadian heads the rest as a $26 pop. Dino, for the road to the championships with the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, who are your two focus runners at this early stage?
Yeah, Louis, I'll arrow in here on Very Elegant and Think It Over. I think a lot of punters probably dropping off Very Elegant, going under $1.28 on the weekend, but I think she's just a superior stayer. We need to see her at 2,000 metres. I do concede she's probably a hard horse to catch. She reminds me of a lot of Nature Strip, where they've won 12, she's won 11 or 10 Group 1s, but it's very tricky to back her when she's going to win. She was good last start winning. Joao's coming out of that at 1, but I think she's a superior stayer when we get up over these trips. There's rain around, so she's going to love that. And I think around that $4 price, she's got to be a key hope. And I think probably a fair few punters might drop off her. So I think going towards the QE, that's going to be a target before hopefully heading overseas. She's got to be a ripping chance like always. Another one I want to mention is Think It Over. He's up to this class. He's probably one of the most underrated horses in Australia. People just dismiss him and think he's probably a touch below him, but I think he's right up to it. The key to him is a drawing track. He needs to be on a good to a soft most. I know Joash gave him windburn last start in the Australian Cup, but his advantage is his racing pattern. He's up on speed. He can set a tone. If they go hard, he can take a sit. If they don't go hard, he can lead. So he's a bomb-proof horse. He's run well in this race before. So they're the two I really want to arrow in on. Gannon, which two do you want to take a look at?
I'm going to pot one. Obviously, Hatotsu in the market, reasonably well in the market there. Not sure. There was a lot of talk about if it's wet in Sydney, they won't be coming this way. So for mine, in regards to all in players, I'll take the soft option there at $15 and say don't be having anything on that until the weather clears up. I think we're getting anywhere with 100 mils this week, and if it keeps raining, we'll need absolute water skis to get out there. So I can't imagine they'll be sending it around. It is, what are we talking, 3 weeks away, but the way things are going, not a good bet there. The other one is Animo G, very impressive. Obviously, times we didn't stack up as well against Montefilia in regards to sectional times and overall times there. But look, it's probably a little bit ridden out of its comfort zone. Everyone's going, it's got a great record going forward, but yada, yada, yada. But I still think it's a better horse from behind. If it gets to more of a high-pressure race, saw what it did in the Cox Plate. I don't think it has to go forward and doesn't have to do that. It's brained them going forward because I think J-Max is sick of losing. But I think we get back to Queen Elizabeth. And look, it's a $3.50 favourite, right? So don't chime in now. But for mine, it is potentially going to be the winner of that race. Louis?
Yeah, well, my two that I'll mention here, Duace and Zaki. Let's start with Zaki. Won the All-Star Mile on the weekend, and word from the camp was that it was going to absolutely pee in. And it did to an extent, but it got an absolute picnic in front, didn't it? I mean, the race was just so perfectly run to suit for Zaki. It got done by Inspirational Girl first up. Was it a touch unlucky? Yeah, probably was, but I still thought it had its chance to win that. Turns the tables in the All-Star Mile, but got a peach. And so just I think at the price at the moment at $4.50, wow, I mean, I think that's a bit short to be diving in an all-in market at $4.50. I'd say if it goes, you'd probably even get around that on the day, if not a bit better. So I'll leave that alone. The other one is Duace, of course. I've mentioned earlier in the show that I think that they have to go here. It was just so good in the Australian Cup last start. The margin was 2 lengths, and it was a pretty comfortable 2 lengths as well. It ran 6, but was only beaten a length and a half on a heavy 10 in the Chipping Norton prior. Its stats say 3 and zip on heavy tracks, but I don't think that's a true reflection of its actual ability on wet. And the 1400 metres was clearly too short in the Apollo first up. So I think with a 4-year-old mare racing in this kind of form, now with 2 Group 1s to its name, they have to go to the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. I mean, you'd just be crazy not to. So Zaki too short, due ace, hope they go. And if you wanted to have a little bit, I think $11 is probably not a bad little each way. It's even $3.50 a place as well. So I'd be taking that each way for the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. That's the first of them. Now let's get to the Doncaster Mile, which is almost Randwick's most famous race of the racing calendar. One of the greatest Group 1s over the 1,600 metres that you'll see. I'll start with you, Gannon, first. You're going to focus again on 2 runners here for the Doncaster Mile. Which ones are they?
Mate, I'll go with Converge first up. There's no doubt this is a target that's going to carry little to no weight. I wouldn't be worried about the 2,000 metres. I think it's exactly what Adrian and Gay wanted. Send it round 2,000 and going to get in with nothing. Got spanked by Animo. Forget it. Beat the rest. That was fine. Good horse. 1,600 metres. Tough 1,600 metres on his home track. Watch out. Query. Only just a minor query was a synthetic hoof filler. Hopefully we see that removed at some stage, or we'll get some clarification as to how much or how little that was and how significant that is. And the other one, just quietly want to throw in, no one else has mentioned this one, but Forbidden Love, it's going to be up for a while. Anyway, I'll leave that one there. The other one I wanted to mention was Brutality, who's a horse that will get in well at the weight and is being set for this. Get around at $26. So if I was to have an early play, it'd be a little bit of a 1x4 Brutality.
Just quickly on those markets, Forbidden Love's at 5 and favourite. I'm Thunderstruck is at 6. Converge, the first one of yours, Gunno, 8. Private Eye, 13. Inspirational Girl, 15 with Lighthouse. Banker's Choice, Law of Indices and Mr. Brightside at 18. To you, Dino.
Yeah, a couple of things to note in this race. We're going to be back to Randwick. Rail's going to be true. So this is the type of meetings me and Gannon half on about this. But outside of Randwick with the rail true, you want to be backing those horses on pace. But with these Doncaster Miles, your Epsons, your big high-pressure races with the rail true, you can back a horse that's coming off the speed with confidence. I'm going to arrow in on 2 here, Louis and Gannon. I'm Thunderstruck. Come up to Sydney and bolted in the Golden Eagle in the spring over 1,500 metres. It was super on the weekend behind Zaki, and you could argue if they will go a bit quicker in that. He drew a horrible gate in Barrier 1. But if they go a touch quicker, he pretty much goes close to winning that All-Star Mile. We know he handles this way of going. He loves the 1,600 metres is perfect, and heard on radio as well that he probably wasn't tightened up in the code and in the definition there on Saturday. So I think Mick Price has left a little bit under the hood for Sydney. So he's a horse. He's top of the market. You're probably going to get the exact same price come race day. So don't dive in yet, but he's one I want to arrow. And Private Eye, he's one you can take. $11 now. Around that price, he is a dead set 1,600 metre rail true Randwick horse. Loves it. He was super up front. Super first up. Has a nice turn of speed. Can take a sit, touch closer in this high pressure race. He's going to love this. And around that $11 mark, forget he went round on the weekend. He struck trouble and got nowhere. He's got a dynamic turn of foot that sets him against a lot of these. So there's 2 for me, Louis, that I want to arrow in as. They got the key racing styles to that Doncaster Mile that I like. Who do you like, mate?
Well, this is good. We're all talking about different horses here. I've got another 2. It's almost like we've done this by design. I want to be with Banker's Choice again. I thought it was huge on Saturday, and there was even a stage that I got really excited because it was a big price, and it kind of loomed into the race, and then was it I wouldn't call it flat late, but it more or less just held its ground late in the piece. And back to what you said, Dino, with the racing patterns, this is a horse that it's going to be back in the field and it's going to be swooping. I thought its first up run was absolutely luckless. It's an ex-New Zealand horse who's a Group 3 winner. I think it can match the grade easily, and it's a $18 chance in the tab all-in market at the moment. So Baker's Choice, the first of mine, I'm not dropping off at all, even after that last start defeat. Well, it still ran 4th or something on the weekend, I'm pretty sure. So it wasn't that bad, 4th or 5th, something like that.
Of course, yep.
The other one I want to mention is Mr. Brightside. So it comes through the All-Star Mile. It's a horse that is usually up on pace. It bombed the start, had no luck, settled 12th. It was 12th at the 800 and 10th at the 400. So it was just completely ridden upside down. And as we mentioned, Zaki controlled things in front, went very slow, and it was all over from there. Prior to that, it led them in the Blamey and wasn't beaten too far. That was over the mile on a soft 6. Its soft form is good. Untried on a heavy, so maybe that's the unknown. But yeah, and I saw that there was a bit of money for it early as well already in these tab futures markets. It's been trimmed in a touch. So if you're looking for a few at a price, punters, I think Mr. Brightside and Banker's Choice may be the ones that you can have a little dabble on for the Doncaster Mile for 2022.
Outstanding, punters. There's your road to the championships. We'll be back next week, chiming into a couple of 2-year-old races. We'll catch you then.